of CPAs and the Ad Council.
All right, welcome back to Compact Discourse right here on WEGL 91.1 FM. I'm Jack Hart, joined alongside Davis Carroll, and I believe we have Mr. Chris Smith calling in on the phone. Is that correct?
That's right. How's it going, fellas?
Doing extremely well. Can you hear us all right?
Yeah, sure can.
Sure thing. All right, we are absolutely enthralled to have you in the studio with us this morning, calling in from where now? Texas?
Plano, Texas, yes.
Awesome. Great to hear it. So, for those of you who do not know, Mr. Smith has taken on the Herculean task of recreating the city of Auburn, the Auburn University, the surrounding area in the world of the online computer game Minecraft, which is it's pretty cool. So, initial thoughts on that, Davis? Any questions for Chris to open up?
I just want to say it looks really good so far from what I've seen. And
I appreciate it. It's crazy and it's ridiculous. It's a lot of stuff, but it's just a little background on it. It's actually the exact same project that went viral back in 2014. Whenever a guy named Trey Long, he built basically primary campus first, and then so he eventually burned out. He's still part of the project, and he's actually going to do the architecture building soon. But he ran himself into the ground. Plus, he was in school at the time. So, but he turned it over to me, and I went to grad school for video game design, and so I came in wanting to just expand what he did, and it's off and on, but yeah, it's really stinking cool.
Yeah, that's good stuff. So yeah, I guess I had kind of naively assumed that this was a solo project, but how many people do you currently have, or at any given time, working on the project? Well,
excuse me, he did most of campus by himself while he was in school. His brother helped out a little bit, and basically there are two people. Right, he and I and one of the guys helped a little bit, and I'm not. Yeah, that's the weird thing. A whole bunch of people are asking, "Hey, can we get on?" And it's and I'd love to, but it would be. I don't have the time to back this thing up every night, and it'd be a policing and people management thing, and that's kind of hard to.
Yeah, as someone who has played a bit of online Minecraft myself, I am all too aware of how impossible it is to police people and make sure it doesn't get out of hand. So, when it comes to creating the actual buildings and landscape of campus itself, do you just kind of have to... I know you can only get so much out of looking at a picture, so is there a lot of kind of mentally placing yourself on campus you have to do to make sure everything looks right from when you're not in your bird's eye perspective?
Yeah, everything. Well, Google Earth Pro has a ruler tool, and that has been the staple. It's even when he built the initial campus, he measured it. All these buildings are as close. You're dealing with 1 meter blocks, so but it's as exact as you can. We've made the lower quad dorms. We did make those wider, just so they look a little bit closer, because the other bathroom windows, were like 1 brick wide, and it was just it looked weird.
Yeah, and I assume you have to take a few creative licenses here and there, considering you're transforming a 3D real world environment into, like you said, 1 meter by 1 meter blocks.
Yeah, absolutely. It's what was really hard is I was trying to get the terrain right, and we didn't have tools to do it, and basically we're just using World Edit. We're digging out, and I was getting to the right places, but it was, the terrain wasn't flowing, and it was hard to get there. And then I ran across this a mod pack that these other people were using on this Build the Earth project, and they tried to recruit me to do that. But when they auto-generated the terrain for Auburn, it was like 7 degrees off, rotated, and everything's already going to look weird.
Yeah.
In the first place, but then you screw it up like that. I was like, whatever. So I got this mod pack, and I generated all the terrain myself, and it was at the correct north-south rotation, and I got that and pasted it underneath, our current buildings, and that's how we got all this new terrain. It was, and it makes a ton of difference.
Yeah, I saw on the Twitter page, which if you're not following at MC Aubie on Twitter, you should be, to check out these awesome pictures I have cycling on the live stream right now that Chris has put on that Twitter account. Be sure to do that. So one of the most striking images I saw on the Twitter was that you had used that tool, I guess, that GIS tool to map out the entire terrain map of the entire University Boulevard loop, the entire Auburn surrounding area.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, and there's also an image a little bit further down where it shows the map where I've got all that terrain captured in another save file, and I actually have the entire loop. It goes out past the airport now, and but that's so far down the road that we could ever use that. But while the plugin's still working, I went ahead and
might as well capture as much of the terrain as you can. And it's really unique in that just one of the pictures that struck me was the picture of the campus green, how you're dealing with a very smooth slope, but you have to deal with a 1 meter drop off every time. So the way you can transform that how it translates from the real world to Minecraft is actually very impressive, how you were able to contour that landscape to be so realistic looking.
Yeah, I appreciate that, because that area has been something that, like a lot of the harder things you put off. Like, I don't want to tackle that right now because it's going to take so much time. But like the hardest thing about that area is when he built the stadium, he wasn't even going to try to rotate it right.
Mm-hmm.
That would be impossible. So it's actually true north-south, and the AU logo on the east side of the stadium normally points towards the green, but now it's pointing towards Haley Center or the new Student Center. I mean, and it's so, but it turned out so well, it's hardly noticeable.
Right. You're already looking at a world of blocks, so you can suspend your disbelief a little bit in terms of which way things are facing.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's going to be the last thing. I think that and the jungle, I think we're going to leave them north-south, but
Yeah. So when I'm working on a big Minecraft building project, the big problem I have is always wanting to move on to something else before I get done with something. Do you have that problem where you're constantly jumping around between projects?
Yeah, it's whatever I feel that day. And I mean, some people ask for stuff, and I'll get on there, but yeah, and I'm ADD anyway, and so I'm bouncing around all over the place. It's it keeps it fresh as well.
So will you have kind of just wake up one day with something in your mind's eye and have to tackle it rather than scheduling out what you're going to work on at any given point?
Yeah, I have a list of stuff, and when people request things, I mean, like last night, he said, hey, there's stairs and windows here, and so I was like, all right, sweet, and I went and did that. So I mean, yeah, anybody out there, if you see something that's not right, just shoot it over.
Yeah. So yeah, just as Chris said, if you're not following at MC Aubie on Twitter, he posts some pretty cool. I mean, I see you have the shaders turned all the way up and the fog and all these cool effects that would probably honestly turn my computer into a pile of dust if I tried to do that. But if you want to, head over, check out those pictures, the ones I have scrolling on the live stream. And yeah, as Chris said, if you see something that's not right, some stairs out of place, some trees that are the wrong height, go ahead and reply. And I know he doesn't obviously have enough to do, so I'm sure Chris can take care of that.
Yeah, the weird thing about it is he had all the trees and shrubs and everything in, but whenever I was lowering all the buildings into place, and all of them were close. I mean, within a couple of blocks, but I had to have a top-down view and look and see, is it in the exact right place? But all the bushes and everything and the sidewalks that we jacked up into the air, they were blocking where I couldn't see. So I had to wipe all those out whenever we dropped them in with the terrain. So that's the reason it looks bald, basically.
Right, and so about those shaders, is that something that just in playing Minecraft you've accrued? Is the cinematic kind of looking things, or is that something that you've?
No, that's a shader pack. Let's see, complementary shaders, I think is what it's called.
Mm-hmm.
But I tried a bunch, and that one was tunable. And man, it, like you talk about, turning your computer into power dust. Mine is 8 years old, and when I built it, it was a beast. But it struggles when I got the shaders turned on. I've crashed the server a few times flying around.
Yeah,
with shaders on. But,
my big question is for you, Chris. At what point do you think you'll be satisfied with Auburn or with the build? Do you think you're going to go all the way to Opelika, or you're going to finally place the last brick on Little Italy's and you'll be like, okay, this is it?
I mean, good question. I want to initially, before we let other people, play it, is at least get, what we consider downtown Auburn and a couple blocks within campus.
Mm-hmm.
And just, it's all, yeah, and I'm getting so many of these questions, man, you've got almost 800 new followers just since last Friday. And so it's been kind of overwhelming. Sitting in church and my phone's buzzing. My wife's like, what's going on? I'm like, but the goal is I got out of grad school, video game grad school, and I wanted to, literally the second week we're in school, our school was spun up by guys who worked at EA. And so the second week of school, guys come in just handing out copies of BF2 like it was, candy. And so we were blown away by this. And so I got out of school wanting to have an open source 3D Auburn project where, if there's ever a way you could make, a first person shooter, if you could put your own world in a first person shooter, I wanted to have that ready.
Right.
And so, didn't have time. And then my daughter, who, she shows me this Minecraft world, and so I reach out to Trey. I'm like, dude, let me see it. And he's nice enough to do it, and he was burnt out by that time too. So, and I took it and ran with it. So,
yeah, that's great. So yeah, I think we've talked a lot about the Minecraft world, but if you don't mind, I'd like to talk a little bit about what your experience was as an Auburn Tiger and how you've continued that legacy. Obviously moving over to Texas and continuing to work on something that is as cool as this Auburn project. What is it like working on a physical model of Auburn while not being in the physical space of Auburn? And what you did at school? You told me you were the captain of the roller hockey team, so I'm obviously super interested in that as a hockey fan. So yeah, maybe you could just elaborate on what your experience as an Auburn Tiger was.
Yeah, I was a graphic design major. It was a roller hockey club. It wasn't. We were running through, more money than we had worth of wheels playing on tennis courts.
Yeah.
And it was horrible, but it was still fun. And, I did play roller hockey in Dothan for a while. And the guys would always come down from Auburn to play whenever we had pickup. And so that was that was cool to be able to, hook up with them again. But it's, it wasn't much of a hockey experience. It was just more, it was rough. That Lakewood Commons tennis court.
Yeah.
Gosh, that thing's horrible. But no, my dad ran track at Auburn, and so I just wanted to wear the colors. So I toyed around on the cycling team as well. I mean, never got anything done, but just we all want to be a part of Auburn. So but the weird thing about the world, being out here and doing it is, I actually, whenever we came back for Christmas last year, I drove to Auburn, and then I told Trey later, I said, it didn't really help me with this project because all the tools we have, I can get close enough. And, I said, God, we have so many tools available to us. It's just, I didn't have to be around to do it right. I mean, I had a good enough memory of what it was like, but it is weird to reference photos. Well, like you'll have 8 reference photos of a building,
mm-hmm.
and everything other than the bricks are different in every single one. It's just like, what the heck? They just redo stuff so quick.
Yeah, that's another thing I was going to bring up is that, even in just my 5 years here at Auburn, there's so much has changed that I can imagine going off of Google Earth, like you said, or even just looking at pictures of buildings to get exteriors right, that I imagine if you turn up one day to Auburn, it may look completely different. Just the Mel classroom building springs to mind as something that just popped up effectively over a year and completely changed the landscape of the entire north side of campus.
Yes, it is. We that's on the list. There's so much to do, but yeah.
Yeah, as I said, it is a Herculean task you have ascribed to yourself.
Yeah, if it wasn't fun, the ETC podcast, Kyle Loomis, he asked us at the end of our interview there, he said, "Why Auburn? Why have y'all done Auburn?" And both our answers are the same thing. Well, this is probably the only thing I would spend this much time doing in Minecraft. It's like, Minecraft's so weird because you can argue that the staying power of this game came, mostly from the YouTube, sensation or YouTube revolution,
right?
Whatever. But the only reason I continue to put time into it is because of the staying power of this game. It's not going anywhere,
mm-hmm.
and it's just, if it was going to be gone and it's a complete waste of time, I can back it up as an OBJ or something. And there are tools to do all that. So, all this 3D data will never be lost. And that's one of the only reasons I keep doing it. Because it's not going to be a total waste of time.
Yeah, you bring up an interesting point that Minecraft is, just in my short time playing video games, has probably been the most evergreen title that has ever been released. So I've been playing for over 10 years at this point, and to see it looks, it's instantly recognizable in such an iconic fashion that I think that's what stuck. I think that's why this project has resonated with so many people. I've been so eager to share it with so many of my friends I used to play Minecraft with, I used to go to Auburn with, just because it's so iconic. And I think for that reason, it's such a perfect medium to kind of create a little niche community around what you're doing.
Yeah, it's I appreciate you sharing it. A lot of people have. Good grief, I had 350 followers last Friday, and now it's like 1,100. So it took that one picture with shaders, like you said, that actually could be real. You have to do a second take. And
yeah.
Holy crap, this is Minecraft. And that's been the goal of getting that area correct, slowly getting it as correct. And man, I'll take pictures and I will good. I'll go to angles where you don't see the incomplete craft. I mean, I just like I hide a lot of bad, ugly stuff that hasn't been fixed yet with with the angles that I.
Well, yeah. If it makes you feel any better, the university does a lot of that too in its promotional images.
Nice.
So I know Davis was wondering if what your plans for the interiors of buildings are going to be, because I know that's where the limits of Google Earth is going to stop, is being able to walk around inside the student center.
Right. Some of them have floors. Like most of them, he put the floors in there, but they don't have walls, which is really frustrating. I started to do. I've done most of one side of one, like the floors that overlooking Plainsman Park in, was it South Donahue Hall?
Yes, that's correct.
So it's and it's difficult because it makes the rooms so small. I mean, you're already using up 6 feet, just doing each wall. So it's got the rooms are just so tiny, and that's frustrating. But yeah, we're trying to, and it's actually all the hill dorms are populated because we did one, and basically we cookie cutted that, and so all those are paste, all those are copy paste, rotate, and they're all a little bit different.
So, and I assume that the village dorms would be the same situation with a copy and pasted.
Yes, but they're empty inside. They just have the floors. So.
Okay. And I also saw you had a working clock of sorts brewing on the Twitter page. Are you a redstone expert, or how does that work?
I am not. Trey did that, and if you go, his old page is WEGL Minecraft. Okay. And look at the one that went viral. It's like I forget how many views it has, but it's a ton. But he walks you through, and he actually he puts a second back on the clock and everything. But he did all that, and it's I am not a redstone expert. He's actually an Auburn electrical engineer, and so.
See that makes a lot of sense.
But it was cool. I mean, and it captured. I mean, Auburn Online. I mean, it captured everybody's fascination. It blew up. So that was really, really cool. And it was a whole lot of fun. And just, I love. I mean, everybody. I appreciate all the support and the questions and helping out and the humor that's coming through on this page. Somebody asked yesterday, like, hey, is the Eagle's Nest going to be closed for realism? And yep.
That's pretty funny. Yeah. So yeah, we'll see a lot of construction. Hopefully, a lot of big tarps blocking your way. Just bring the full Auburn experience to the digital world is what we're looking forward to when this project continues.
Yeah, tarps, and yes, I actually I built that crane in front of the library one time, but tore it down. It's just, is this going to be real? It's going to be,
Yeah, the cranes are an integral part of the Auburn skyline, as we all know.
Yeah, and what do you guys think about all the big, colossal apartment buildings? I mean, they didn't bother me, like when I was driving through, like street level, but man, when it's going to basically, I mean, Magnolia, I mean, you're not going to be able to see the front faces of campus. It's just, I don't know, I think it's kind of ridiculous. But
I have a big issue with those personally. I think they pretty much ruined the skyline of Auburn. I mean, like, I wasn't here. I was here when maybe like one or two of them was up and they started building the others. So like you could still kind of see. I live on Magnolia, so I have to drive past a lot of them. They cause a lot of undue traffic as well, the people leaving them. I just don't think they look that good personally. I'm pretty vocal about how I don't like them. I sound like an old person talking about them all the time. Like, oh, these darn buildings are so annoying.
Yeah, I mean, it gets me that I mean, soon even a blimp shot will not be able to see the front of the engineering building. It's just like, come on, but they're going to do it, and I guess the city's not going to regulate it.
I mean, from a real world architecture standpoint, they're a bit hideous and not great for the flow of traffic. But I mean, from a Minecraft architecture standpoint, it's already a big cube.
That's true.
So I mean, it's already a big head start for you.
Yeah, they'll be easy to build because they're really plain. But
all right,
that new parking deck where Quixote's used to be, whatever. It's a good looking parking deck, though.
I mean, if you're gonna drop a parking deck right smack dab in the middle of downtown, I think you may need to make it a little more handsome than average.
Good point.
All right.
What's the how many students does the Auburn have now?
It's close to 30,000, I think.
Something like that. I'll check real quick.
30. Good grief.
Yeah, quite the expansion.
Yeah, it's about 25,000, something like that. Yeah, undergraduates, 24,594.
All right, Chris, we want to thank you for taking time out of your day and out of your busy Minecraft building to sit down and talk with us for a half hour. We really appreciate it here at Compact Discourse and everybody at WEGL. You have anything you want to shout out besides at MC Aubie?
Yeah, that's it. Just appreciate it, guys.
Absolutely, Chris. Well, thank you once again for coming on. And can we get one more War Eagle for the fans out there?
War Eagle.
Absolutely, Chris. Thank you. Have a great September, and maybe we'll talk to you again sometime. Have a good one.
All right on. Take care.
Yes, sir. All right, guys, that was Chris Smith at MC Aubie on Twitter. If you want to check out his awesome buildings he has going on, and if you're watching our live stream, you can check out some of my favorite pictures from that Twitter. Once again, thank you to Chris Smith for coming on the show. And we're going to take a quick break for the 9 o'clock hour. And when we come back, I think we might just have JP Williams, DJP, and potentially Will Root to talk about some music news. So don't go anywhere. The excitement continues. You are listening to Compact Discourse right here on WEGL 91.1 FM.